Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to talk to you about genetically modified organisms, or more colloquially known as GMOs. First of all, I think there's a lot of misconception out there and misinformation regarding their use and implications, especially on the internet. Whether they're a good thing or they're a bad thing. So hopefully today I can debunk some of the misconceptions and provide greater clarity through the use of science. And obviously elaborate on what GMOs actually are. So what is a GMO? Basically, a GMO is a genetically modified organism where its genetic material has been altered using genetic engineering techniques. So to some of you, this may sound somewhat familiar. For after all, farmers have been genetically modifying organisms for centuries through the use of selective breeding, where selective breeding is basically selecting plants and animals based on their desirable characteristics in the hope, those desired traits will be expressed through their offspring. So if we've been doing this for a while now, what separates GMOs from non-GMOs? Basically, with GMOs, the guesswork is eliminated. We're able to choose the traits we want. For example, the desired trait that we might want in a plant might be larger crop yields or plants that are resistant to herbicides and insecticides. So for one of the reasons as to why GMO crops were seen as a little bit unfavorable in its early stages, we'll take the example of corn. Due to its genetic makeup, it had the potential to mix, or GM corn had the potential to mix with non-GM corn in that space. So this provided a bit of a problem, through the unknowns of those mutations, and it's created further risk for GM crops. So one of the proposed solutions to prevent this from happening was the use of terminator seeds. So terminator seeds, in a concept of the corn idea, sounds like a great idea. However, when you really dive into some of the theory behind it, it's probably not so much. As it can create a further problem, for farmers who want to use terminator seeds for the GM side of things. They'd have to go back to the same supplier every season to buy more seeds, leading to good profits for the seed company. However, the farmer, is potentially the one who's getting ripped off here. So, in comparison to traditional methods, the farmer would normally set aside enough seed to produce enough, yielding crops for the next season. And for this, it was, terminator seeds were subsequently banned or deemed pretty unpopular. So however, GMOs aren't all doom and gloom, or they're not all that bad. They're not just out there to make corporations large sums of money. So for some time now, scientists have been working on GMOs that could improve our diets in such a way that plants are able to produce more nutrients. For example, fruits with high antioxidants and rice with additional vitamin content. A good example of this would be golden rice, which it's a rice that's been genetically engineered to have high concentrations of vitamin A levels. So, potentially improving the health of millions of people. Also, the use of GMOs could be used in a geological space as well, where we've got the threat of climate change. If we could use a GM plants, these plants would be better adapted to the erratic and adverse weather conditions, giving us some greater security around of food stocks, especially with the current sort of concerns around the world's growing population. So higher yielding crops could potentially provide some sort of solution to this problem. So I think overall GMOs provide certainly many benefits, and I think that the benefits that they provide far outweigh their potential risks. And for that very reason, I think they've had quite a bad rap of late. And I think they're not really out there to do us harm. They're more there to help us out, especially into the future. So I'll leave it there, and I think I've debunked a couple of misconceptions, from what I've seen out there on the internet today. So at the end of this slide, I've got a reference list. So if you want to find out anything further, say on golden rice, there's a good reference there for you to have a look at your own leisure. So lastly, thank you very much for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed today's presentation. Thank you.